Greetings and welcome to our daily Devo for Monday, the 13th of November today. Our devotion is entitled Focus on Jesus Now! Exclamation point. The passage is Luke chapter 12, verses 54 through 59. They quote here verse 56. This is Jesus speaking. Hypocrites! You know how to interpret the appearance of the earth and the sky. How is it that you don't know how to interpret this present time? And it can be difficult. Urgent. Some things are and some things aren't. Developing a meaningful relationship with Jesus is. And for those living when Jesus walked the earth, it was particularly urgent that they take advantage of his 3-year ministry because it would end more quickly than they realized. 3 years is not a long time, but it was long enough for people to lose interest and become distracted by other things. Jesus was deeply concerned that people living in his time were missing the unique opportunity they had to meet God face to face, to hear him speak, to ask him questions. They had lost their sense of urgency. And so Jesus used strong language in 2 illustrations that called for people to pay closer attention to what he was saying and doing. The first illustration has to do with the weather. For 5 months of the year, it does not rain in Israel. Even the appearance of a single cloud is rare. That changes in October. Cumulus clouds build and darken over the Mediterranean Sea, signaling the start of the rainy months. People urgently looked for this sign of seasonal change because it meant their water collection systems would recharge and signal the start of the grain growing season. The winds that brought the rain came from the west-northwest. When the wind started to blow from the south-southeast, people in the promised land noticed, because that signaled a vastly different meteorologic experience. These unwelcome Sirocco winds brought in the dust, low humidity, and the extreme heat of the desert. People paid attention to the weather because it was important. In the same way, people needed to attend to Jesus so they could see that he was fulfilling the Old Testament expectations that marked him as the Messiah. Jesus used a second illustration to address the negligence. Poverty was rampant in first century Israel. Everyone knew someone who had the experience of falling behind in their loans and being called to account by their creditor. The best one could hope for was to settle with the creditor prior to arriving in court. Wait too long, and the judge would control the outcome, which typically led to prison time. In the same way, it was urgent for people to give Jesus their attention now, before the opportunity was gone. While we don't get to see Jesus in person, walking the earth, doing miracles and all the things that he did in those, 33 years on earth, but only 3 really in public type ministry where people could follow him, see him, ask him questions, all those things. But he is coming back. And so in light of this hope, Peter would say, in light of this eventual event, what sort of people ought we to be? What sort of people ought we to be in holy type living, being ready? Jesus told that parable of the 10 virgins waiting for the bridegroom to come. 5 of them were ready, prepared, 5 were not. It's true for us as well. We like to read the signs. This thing with Israel and Gaza, or Israel and Hamas, really, over the past month or so here, I've heard so many. What do you think about that? Oh, looks like the signs are all coming into place. They may be, but we don't know that for sure. But what I do know is whenever the Lord decides it's time, I need to be ready. We need to be ready. It's not about us being able to read the signs, because no one knows. Jesus said that himself. No one knows the time nor the hour. Only the Father knows. And so, yes, signs have been given, but down through church history, if you've ever looked at it, you'll find group after group after group saying, okay, this is it. This is it. That's the Antichrist. And they've been wrong every time. This is when it's going to happen. And they've been wrong every time. And so we need to take that into account when we start getting ourselves all hyped up about the end and the rapture. And not everybody even agrees on that as to when that will happen. The one thing we can be sure about is, what does Jesus say? Who is he? What does he ask of me? What does he want me to be doing today? Whether it's the last day or not, doesn't matter. We need to be walking in that light. And we need to be shining that light for others in the darkness, that they might be ready, that they might be prepared. Unfortunately, so many in Jesus' day, including the religious leaders, especially the religious leaders, wasted their opportunity because they didn't want to see things the way Jesus was presenting them. They wanted to see things their own way, and that's still a problem. We want to see things our own way. We want to interpret things our own way. And all we really need to be doing is living the life that when Jesus returns, we will not be ashamed. Blessings to you today. Be prepared for the end. Whether that end is tomorrow, whether that end is in the next 10 minutes, or whether that end is somewhere past my own expiration date on this planet. Be prepared. Don't be caught in such a situation that you'll be ashamed to be called before his presence. Blessings to you today.